So I wasn't going to do this live on Instagram, only via Zoom. And I changed my mind because we have the prerogative to do that. Although, if you would like to receive the free recording, then go ahead over to my website and you can just go to Linktree in my bio and click join my community, and I will send out a link to this tomorrow. So let me get my Zoom going and we shall get started. Hi everyone! So nice to see you. So we are on a couple of formats here. We're both live here. Well, of course, we're live on Zoom, but I've also added live on Instagram. But for those of you who are here with me on Zoom, you're going to receive a recording of this that you can re-listen to and practice to at your own leisure. So for the moment, I ask that you go ahead and, what's up? Go ahead. You know what? I can't even hear you because Magda, what's up? Jessica, hi everyone. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to unmic. So if anybody has any questions, because with this microphone on, it plugs into my speaker. I can't hear you. So please excuse if it makes a loud noise. Okay. So now I'll be able to hear you if you have any questions, if you're with me here on Zoom. Because I do have a little bit of a different approach to manifesting. And the reason why that I'm doing this evening so spontaneous, because I know I think I put it out today, right? Is, well, because I'm in the process of manifesting. This is a step for me in manifesting. And one of the ways that I know that this works is through generosity, is through giving. So, okay, so that's one of my whys, because this is what I'm doing right now. I'm manifesting. Another reason why I'm doing this is so many of you have asked me to talk to you about manifesting. You've had experiences with it. There's certainly the laws of attraction, The Secret. There's so many programs out there about manifesting, and they're absolutely wonderful, and big fan, really big fan. I think that having any kind of a connection to ourself and to our personal power and our abilities in our personal power is really wonderful to intentionally cultivate, and I truly recommend it. If you're not on mute, just make sure that you're on mute for now, unless you have a question. So aside from, what happens is a lot of the manifesting programs that exist out there are almost like a shortcut. It's like manifesting hacking. How can I manifest good things that I want into my life? And, if you've done any of this work, if you've studied the law of attraction, if you've studied The Secret, if you've done any manifesting programs, you know that one of the ways is putting yourself into a high vibrational, energetic place as a means for then attracting that energy that you want to cultivate into your life. And I've done it. I'll actually share a really fabulous story with you. So the law of attraction was introduced to me about 5 or 6 years ago through my friend Aubrey. And she was like, oh my God, have you ever heard of Abraham Hicks? And I had not. I'd heard of The Secret, but I had not heard of Abraham Hicks. And as it turns out, the original Abraham tapes are what The Secret was based off of. If you listen to the first Oprah Super Soul Sundays podcast, she and Esther Hicks cover that. And Oprah, as a matter of fact, featured Esther/Abraham Hicks on the podcast, and not in any kind of visual, because she was like, this is super weird and people are probably not going to dig this. And so it led to the information that the Abraham tapes were actually left out as being the source of information for The Secret. Now, of course, I didn't write The Secret, so this is all hearsay from Esther Hicks and Oprah Winfrey. I find them to be pretty credible sources, but that's okay. So anyway, so my friend Aubrey introduced me to the Law of Attraction and said, you have to get this book. You have to check out this Abraham Hicks. And so I did, and I had to put it to test. So the first thing that came to mind was, because they say, visualize something think of something that you would like to just see in your life to kind of stretch our abilities to what we call into us. And the first thing that came to mind to me was white feather. And I was like, well, that's so obvious. Let me go with pennies. So as I'm going about my life, at the time I was teaching in the city, I had a lot of private clients. I was back and forth between Manhattan and Long Island. And there's like white feathers all freaking over the place. But here I am, like, looking for a penny, which was step number one, right? We have to trust the feeling. We have to trust the first thing that comes through, not what we think. And we're going to circle back around to this, but what we feel, what we know, we have to trust our intuition. We have to trust that knowing, okay? So I'm walking along, and finally I realize, oh yeah, I'm seeing feathers, I'm not seeing pennies. So we had a big windstorm here on Long Island, and I had a glass table in my backyard and an umbrella. And the wind blew the umbrella out and smashed the glass table. Now, at the time, I was just out of my marriage and really had no money, and was really upset because it was nice weather. This is where my kids played. This is where we had dinner. And I'm like, God, I don't know how I'm going to get a table. It's so wonderful having that table, and it would be so nice for one to just miraculously appear. Well, don't you know? That evening, this is how quick it happened, I get a phone call from my neighbor saying, hey, our tenant moved out and left their patio furniture set. We saw that your table broke, so we went ahead and put it back there for you. How cool is that? So then that week, this all happened in a very condensed period of time. I'm walking down the street in New York City on 6th Avenue to go and see a client. And I saw this beautiful red slip dress, and it made me think of this really pretty butterfly shawl that I have that was my grandmother's, and how beautiful that slip dress would look under that shawl, and how beautiful I would feel wearing this outfit. That evening, again, I go to dinner with my friend Aubrey, who introduced me to this work in the first place. Don't you know, she pulls out a plastic bag and says, hey, I bought this dress without trying it on. It does not fit me properly. Would you like it? And out pulls a red slip dress. I'll go to my closet and show you this dress. I kid you not. So I'm like, oh my God, Aubrey, you're not going to believe what's going on. I got this table, now this dress, holy cow. Feathers are flopping all over my head. So then a couple of days later, and this is the last part of this story, I'm like all about this. So now I'm sitting in manifestation. I'm sitting in meditations. I'm raising my vibration. I'm thinking of gratitude. I'm thinking of things that feel great. I'm thinking of what I would like to have in life. I want this, and I want this, and I want to go there. And so the next day I'm going to meet my friend Erickson to go hang out and spend the day in Central Park. Beautiful summer day. And as anybody who spent any time in New York City in the summertime knows, that when you walk down the street, the air conditioner condensation drips, 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 and very often you get a drip. Well, I'm walking and I feel a big drip, and I'm like, oh my God, a bird shit on my head, right? And I look and there's not. And I'm laughing because I remember a time in my childhood when I was on the beach with my brothers and my eldest brother, a bird pooped on my head. And I got real upset and embarrassed. And my oldest brother, Christopher, was like, no, honey, that's good luck. That's good luck. And so it completely made it a happy memory. So I get Erickson, and we're walking up to Central Park, and I'm telling him all the stories about the table and the dress. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I'm walking to your house, and I thought I manifested a bird shitting on my head, and don't you know, plop. So amazing. Can you even imagine? And of course, the two of us are like, oh my God. So doing that type of manifesting is real. And yes, I have that pretty red dress, and that table served us beautifully and wonderfully. But when I talk about manifesting from grace, I really, I have manifested many things, and I have experienced many friends and students and clients and colleagues who have manifested and then come and said, I got exactly what I asked for, and it didn't work out. It didn't work out. I wanted this. Oh gosh, in relationships, are you kidding me? I wanted this person, and I wanted them to look like this and have this kind of bank account and like to do this and like this and this. And it all fell apart. And I started reflecting on my own experiences with manifesting. And I'm not talking about the table and the red dress, although I think I've worn that red dress once, And I started to think about, when we are co-creating intentionally in our life, and we find ourselves continuously in situations that repeat themselves not in the best way possible. We have these undercurrents, these belief patterns that guide us. They become almost like our true north. But, when we start getting into the practices of yoga, or we start getting in the practices of Buddhism or any kind of mindfulness or self-awareness, we start to catch ourselves when these belief patterns are guiding our wants, our desires, and what it is that we are co-creating into our life, which brought me to really thinking about when we're doing these intentional practices of manifesting. Where are we manifesting from? Is it from a place of lack? Is it from a feeling of, I don't have, right? When we are trying to manifest a relationship, what is it that we actually are trying to fulfill within ourselves? And let me pause for a moment. And let me continue with that before I get to the next part of that. When we are manifesting a job, what is it that we're looking to really fulfill within ourselves? A home, a place to live. Because if we approach it from a place of lack, and what I mean by that is when we give that outside of ourselves power to make us happy, when we assign it our power, when we hand over our personal power and say, here, you come into my life, this comes into my world, I'm handing over my power. What happens when that gets taken away? Whoop, off goes your personal power. When we're manifesting a relationship, what I believe and why I say manifesting from grace, that I recommend and that I've learned to and that I've started to pivot myself toward, is what is it that I am really seeking to fulfill? Well, I'm seeking love, I'm seeking partnership. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, I don't want to be alone. Well, what does that mean? Why? What are we trying to get to? when we are looking for where we want to live, the job that we don't have, what is it inside of us? What part of us feels unfulfilled or unrealized? And that's the grace that we're looking for. A feeling of selffulness, a feeling of self-empowerment, a feeling of gratitude for what we have in our lives. So much so that we seek for ways to serve. We seek for ways to give. And these are the places that experiences in life begin to manifest that we couldn't even begin to imagine. Because that's what happens is when we are manifesting something specific, how we want it to look, where we want it to be, so on and so forth, we're actually really limiting ourselves, immensely limiting ourselves. We can't even begin to fathom who could come into our lives to fulfill a relationship. We could think we want somebody, tall, dark, and handsome, or pretty, or whatever, and wind up with somebody from a completely different culture, a completely different body type, a completely different gender, a completely different, who knows, that brings in that feeling of meeting us where we are. And there's a big difference in manifesting things to meet us where we are than to fulfill us, because it all is a mutual exchange, right? We're in these constant mutual exchanges of power and of energy. And what we need to manifest into our lives is the wisdom. It's all internal. It's knowing how and when and where to distribute our power, when and where we've attached our power to something that is now just siphoning it out of us. And very often, these power vacuums come when we're manifesting from a place of what we feel we deserve. Don't we all deserve wonderful? I mean, right? Don't we all deserve wonderful? We set ourselves up to situations of having our power siphoned and vacuumed when we're manifesting from, it's fair. It's only fair. It's only fair. Yeah, that whole fair thing. If we shift our perception to the experiences of suffering that we've had in our life, from this is happening to me as opposed to this is happening for me. And if we could learn to lean into those sufferings and be fully present with the depths of the human experience that we feel during those, and the greater connection as a result, and the ability to relate to others. We may not know exactly what it is that they went through or have the same exact experience, but when we've been through suffering, we can at the very least call on that. Yeah, I know it's hard, right? And then when we're manifesting from a place of expectation, this is another time that we are actually attaching to what it is that we are seeking to manifest, and siphoning out our personal power. So my feeling about manifesting and the way that I have been working with this has, sure, I have visualizations. I mean, anybody who knows me knows that a villa in Italy is my be all end all. But it's not my source of happiness. It's not my source. I will not feel lost until I have that. Because as long as I'm fixated on having that, nothing else that comes into my life is going to be good enough. Nothing else is going to be that. Nothing else is going to allow me to be in presence in my life, okay? If I'm manifesting the perfect relationship, well, let's just clarify right out of the gate, that is not a thing. That is not a thing. All parties are on their best behavior for extended period of time. Very often, 2, 3, sometimes, sometimes even 3 years. But when we manifest relationship and we're thinking, I want somebody this and I want somebody that, and we're going to have this in common and we're going to have that in common. And, the interesting thing is that what we do or do not have in common in our likes and dislikes are not what determines the success of relationship. It's the fractured parts of us, whether or not they can work together in respect and compassion and understanding, that determines whether or not there's a success in relationship. I mean, I really feel that, social media sites, instead of having a list of, not social media, dating sites, instead of having a list of, all of our likes and dislikes and what we're seeking for in common, should really have a list of, I'm kind of messed up here and, this happened and this has been my relationship experience. And, because it's true. So we really, when we are very specific about what it is that we seek, we're limiting ourselves. So circling back around to the beginning, as Abraham Hicks teaches and as I've experienced, it's the feeling that we're seeking to manifest, how we want what it is that we're reaching to bring into our lives, how we want that to make us feel. And it brought me to, I think a lot and I pray a lot on grace and what is grace? What is that? My teacher, Caroline Myss, an incredible woman whose work I study with extensively and have had the opportunity to study with even, I'm in a program with her now, says that an example of grace is when you're having a difficult moment with somebody in relationship, whether it's a romantic partner or a friend or something, and you're going to say something and you get that message, don't say that because you cannot take that back and that breaks things. That's an example of grace. I take it to another level to include, or perhaps even I consider the foundations to be our core values, right? Manifesting to increase our core values, to feeling gratitude, really, truly, for everything that we have in this life, to really not having expectations. I'm trying to think of the word that would be the opposite of having expectations. Appreciation. True, heartfelt appreciation for living with integrity, being able to speak our truth, live and walk our truth, even when it collides with somebody else's, in a way that isn't combative, in a way that isn't judgmental. And so these are the characteristics, right? And we can go on and on with what these core values and what these characteristics of grace are. And I believe that that's the starting point for manifesting, because we need to know why it is we're trying to call into our lives what it is. It's not enough to just say, just because I want a perfect, great, happy relationship. Well, what is it that you feel that you're missing that you cannot get from and with yourself? And that's not to say that, okay, I'm seeking this to have with and for myself, and when I have it with and for myself, then I won't get that, because I think that that's what happens, is then this fear comes into play of, well, but if I have that for myself, then aren't I blocking out having and enjoying that with community outside of me or with another outside of me? No, absolutely not. I think that we're holding more space for it. It's been my experience. But then it comes in spades. Then there's options and opportunities and possibilities. So really, truly, it's tapping into the wheres and the whats and the hows when we're thinking about what we want to manifest. Start with what it is that you feel that you're lacking within yourself. One of the ways that I do this, well, certainly through contemplative meditation, and I even call it prayer. I'll sit down and I'll close my eyes and I'll get into my breath, and we'll do this, and have a conversation with myself. Full on, have a conversation with myself meaning my soul self, my higher self, my lower self, my shadow selves, all parts of me. What is it that I am missing from within, that I'm not connected with? Where have I given my power, that I feel that I don't have it in this area of my life? And I need clear messages, and I ask for real specific messages. And and here's the thing, when those messages come through, they don't come through in a perfect, pretty package. Oh, well, here's exactly what you're looking for. All perfect, exactly what you want. Now you know what it is that you were trying to receive. More often than not, it comes in a demonstration to give you the experience of what it is that you're missing and lacking. Does that make sense? More often than not, it will. Okay, so as example, in the context of relationship, okay, I very often have fear of abandonment. My parents separated when I was very young, and there were a lot of times that I was estranged from one or the other of my parents, and it instilled this fear of abandonment into me. And don't you know that one of the patterns, when I realized that I had this, I was not sent a partner, nor have I ever been given relationships with somebody who was right here by my side, constantly reassuring me. The contrary. Even with my partner, who I've been with for some time now, they go and come back and go and come back and require freedom. And so what I have learned through that is freedom is love. Freedom is love. Not you need to be where I want you to be so that you can reassure me and I can feel better about myself whenever I want and I need. That's control. That's taking power or giving power. I give you my power to make me feel safe and reassured. Or I demand that you are where I want you to be when I want you to be there, which is an attempt at taking that person's power. True love is freedom. Allowing isn't even the right word, because that implies that person needs your permission. Supporting a person to live their life freely as they need to, as they support you to live your life freely as you need to in the ebbs and tides and flows of life. And understanding that you may wind up flowing together, and sometimes you may flow apart, and sometimes you may come back together, and sometimes you may go apart, and there may be times when you have to break completely, and it is a hard, sorrowful experience. But you've retained your power, you've retained your integrity, you've retained your grace, you've retained your freedom, as has that person, and perhaps gained compassion and love and empathy for others who are going through sorrowful experiences in their life. So we want to be very careful with these practices of manifesting. Have fun. Have fun with them. But know and understand where and what and why you are calling into your life. And if it is based in any way in a feeling of lack or fear, be very careful about continuing on that trajectory of calling it into your life, because it will bring you an experience that will demonstrate for you where it is that you are seeking from. Let me add, before we begin our meditation practice, that's not a bad thing. That said, if you keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again, that's maybe not so great. Okay? So, let's prepare for a meditation. And I'll keep the meditation. We'll go for maybe about 7 or 8 minutes. And then I'll leave a couple of minutes for a few questions after that. So let's do that, okay? Find a comfortable seat. If you need to lay down, if you need to sit in a chair, no problem, that's fine. If your phone is not on Do Not Disturb, go ahead and do that. You know what? I don't even know. Great. So let me also put my computer on Do Not Disturb, because I've done that. I've had, let me move this. Okay. I've had calls come in while I'm guiding meditations, and it's mortifying for me. Haha. Okay. So, let's find our comfortable seat. And take a big breath in, let it out. And first things first, open your awareness. Cast it open in all directions to invite in any sounds, any movements, any people, anything that's happening around you. Because the world happening around us is not a distraction. And through that open awareness practice, it allows us to get more centered within ourselves. And let's create an anchor of our breath. So go ahead and notice your breath. You don't have to do anything to change it. Just notice it wherever you notice it most acutely. If it's the expansion and contraction of your chest, or you feel it in your nostrils, maybe if you are a practiced meditator, you can find that very small soft point of sensation at the base of the nostrils. Otherwise, just noticing your breath. And call to mind and trust the very first thing that comes to mind. Don't change it. That you seek to manifest into your life. Something, some place, someone. And tap into what it would feel like to have that wish fulfilled. Visualize yourself as if it's already been fulfilled. And take your time with this. Really visualize and feel, right? It's more than the visualization, it's more of the feeling. And the visualization is more of yourself in different scenarios of having had that wish fulfilled. And then lean into an intentional practice of gratitude. How grateful you would feel at having had that wish fulfilled. And take a deep breath in and sigh it out. And get a sense of yourself sitting here as you are, as your life is right now, right in this moment. And carry over with you that feeling of gratitude for everything that you have, for everyone that you have, everything that exists in your life right in this moment as is, including and especially yourself. And I mean gratitude for all of the little things. If you have a comfortable blanket on you, or your seat underneath you, or the warmth of your home around you, whatever it is. And then I invite you to take some moments to speak to yourself very compassionately and with all that you seek to manifest, to invite into your life. What is it in the form of grace that you feel that you are lacking? And maybe the answers come through immediately, or maybe you are just opening the door to a deeper understanding of yourself. And have a conversation with yourself as if it were with your friend, with a loved one, what it is that you seek to manifest, what it is that you feel that you're missing in your life, and how can you fulfill it within yourself or find gratitude for things as they are. Perhaps something will come through from that understanding of what it is then that you actually want to manifest, actually want to invite into your life. May not even be what you originally thought. And then go ahead and place both hands on your heart. And take a moment to close that brief meditation practice with love, respect for yourself, that you are human. You are in this human experience. It is complicated. We are complicated, but beautiful, beautiful souls. Finding our way, and in the words of the great Baba Ram Dass, just walking each other home. Take a big breath in and let it out. And as you're ready, begin to open your eyes. So to close, and if anybody on Zoom has any questions, you can go ahead and turn on your video and I'll see you. But just, to share with you, I get into a zone. It happens real fast. Just to share with you what came up for me. Full transparency, right? So what came up for me that I am seeking to manifest is more opportunities to teach, more souls to touch, more people to help. And when I went to the part of prayer, I refer to it as prayer, and speaking to my soul and saying, what is it that I feel that I'm lacking that isn't getting me to these places that I want to be? What came through for me was motivation, follow through, organization, right? So I don't need to manifest, thousands of people on Instagram or, 500 people being here with me on Zoom. So it turned out that what it was that I was seeking to manifest is I can completely fulfill within me. Okay? I've had some factors in the past month that have kind of put me off track a little bit, made me a little bit wobbly, and I find myself being very scattered and all over the place. So what I really need, what I really want, what I'm really craving in my life right now is organization. So now I've got something a little bit more tangible and in my control to work with that's going to give me the outcome of what it is that I seek in my life. I know I need to get a little bit more organized in my days. If you saw my desk and the spread of notebooks and the 10,000 notes in absolutely no sense or order whatsoever, it would probably seem pretty obvious to you, as it is for most of us. Looking out into your life at what it is that you want very likely seems very obvious to us that you already have it in spades and abundance. So, my friends, gratitude, grace, seeking ways to serve, to give, This is what I mean by manifesting through grace, knowing ourselves and knowing where we feel a sense of lack, getting to the heart, getting to the core of it, and getting some perspective in the reality. I invite you to try this on. I do. I invite you to try this on. It has been an extraordinary, really extraordinary experience for me over these years that I have been swimming in this sea intentionally of manifesting in abundance and gratitude and this incredible life. So I love you so much. I have some programs coming up. We are embarking on one year since the COVID pandemic. We've accumulated some stuff. Some stuff has revealed itself. So we're going to do an all-day workshop on March 20th. I'm calling it Flight of the Butterfly because I don't know about you, but I feel like I've been in a cocoon and I'm ready to spread my wings and fly. So I hope that you'll join me. I'll put some information out. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I love you. Blessings. Namaste. I see you, Jackie. Oh, you're so welcome. Bye, everyone.